Hi everyone, just a quick catch up. The kit from Sip has arrived, and long story short, you need to pull both inlet ports on the engine, transfer ports. So I've done that one and I've done this one, and they are to match the cylinder. I'll explain in a sec what I've done with the cylinder. I'm still waiting for the oil seals to come, but I have got some new Japanese bearings which actually look the part. They're 9 bearings as the original one. What I found with the ones I'd used, which were SK, whatever they are, let me find it. There you go, I've got them here. FAG was, no, not FAG one, that's an original one, sorry. So I've got a, oh it is FAG. So I've been using the FAG bearings originally. 2, 4, 6, 10, there's 11 bearings in there, and they're not as smooth as, if I can show you, PX bearing that I've got here, which is the same bearing. It's so much more smoother, a million times better, to be honest with you. It's hard to sort of show without sort of feelings, but they're the 2 FAG bearings I had on the either side of the crank, and the oil seals that I took out. Obviously never reuse an oil seal. If you're knocking it with anything, you're just wasting your time. So I'll just stick that one back into the box. I seem to sort of be leaning towards Japanese bearings, whether they're Toyo or Koyo, whatever they're called, for the Lambrettas, which I seem to get on alright with. So I just find they're a bit better rolling road resistance, if you like. They just seem to spin better. There's less resistance, but long story short, they're your instructions. Let me turn that around so you can see what we're doing, and maybe drop you down a bit. That'll probably be okay there. So they're the instructions that come with the kit. And long story short, when I got the kit, it didn't have the exhaust port in it. There's a flange that goes on the exhaust. I shall show you. So that's what the box looks like when you get it. Inside you've got your cylinder head. Take that off so you can see. And you've got your piston, and inside there should have been a flange. There is one on the way from Germany. They admitted that it should be in the box. So if you've got the Sip kit without the flange, which screws on the bottom of here, so you can put your, in my case, road free PX tuning exhaust onto it. If you haven't got that in there, you've got no chance. I did experiment to see if a TS1 would fit, but the exhaust itself is miles too big. Right, so if you just take the gasket out, which comes with it, you only get one base gasket, so be careful with it. And long story short, I've opened these ports. When you get them, these 2 transfer ports, they've got like a knife edge in them, and you have to be careful what you're doing, and obviously open them up to match the transfer ports inside. I don't know if you can see them, hopefully you can. It was about twice as wide as what it is now there, so it just goes to show how you can open them up. Looking at the piston, and I will show you, I don't think I can open up the inlet, and I'll show you why. I took the piston out earlier out the box, and I basically marked where the 2 piston pins are. So there's one there and one there, and if you put them over the top of here, you see what I mean. There's literally, I know it doesn't go past there on the way back, it stays in. It should just clear the cylinder on its way back. That's upside down at the moment, excuse me. So there, roughly there's your piston at top dead center. It's not all the way up. I'll show you why. And if I drop the piston down, see, if that was to go back that far, it doesn't actually, that's when the piston's up is when the port is open, so it comes back, and I don't know how far it comes back at the moment. I'll give you a heads up with an original standard GS piston, which is a tad longer, not much, as you can see there, it's just a tad longer or taller. And what they do is they increase the port timing by taking a bit out the back. This one has nothing taken out the back, I'm guessing because it goes up further anyway. You know, if you're looking at what, 3-4 mil at the most there, that's the difference between the crown heights between the two pistons anyway. So if you put that level, the gap below these is about the same anyway, so I don't think you're going to gain anything with that. You know, cutting the skirt out here to increase port timing. That's my own sort of, you know, there's limitations to what you can do with a 65-year-old bike or whatever, 60-year-old, 60. I'm just trying to think how old my bike is. 60, yeah, 65 years. So I'll put that back in there. It comes with gudgeon pin, 1 mil rings in the bag, gudgeon pin and circlips. In the instructions they're saying only use their C clips there, don't use any other make. Don't know why, really don't know why, but you know, I suppose if you don't follow their instructions and you have a problem, then it's of your own making. So right, so if we explain the head is stepped. We've got a step there which goes into the barrel, like so it sits into the barrel. It can't move sideways, up or down. I believe the prototype of these had, you know, the bolts around the head that bolt into the aluminium. Not sure why, but they seem to, and I haven't checked whether it's a long thread or not. I would assume it would be, and not a short PX thread for the, I'm talking about the yeah, spark plugs, long thread. I'm not tightening this up, this is a second-hand one. It does come in a bit. I'm a little bit surprised at that. I don't know if I've got the washer on there, because when you use the Sip temperature gauges, yeah, I haven't got the washer on there, so it would come back a tad. Let me get a different spark plug with the washer on, if I can grab hold of one here. They're wrong spark plug there for a different bike that I can lay my hands on. So yeah, I'll be buying some new spark plugs for that anyway, and I will be polishing up all of inside here. It doesn't come with a gasket. The original prototype ones had a copper gasket under here. Not sure why you haven't got a gasket. Vespas don't seem to have a head gasket anyway, but it's always worth putting a bit of sealer around this outside. The last thing you want is any gases basically escaping from here where the head goes in. Likewise for your exhaust, put some sealant there and your inlet. And the inlet is, I'm going to have the standard one on. What I've decided to do is leave the original carburetor on. I was going to get this and see if I could do a reed valve, but I just think maybe I'm overstepping the mark with what's obtainable here. Apparently these holes are for a Pinasco, I believe. You know, you're going to start opening this up, and until I put the piston in, I won't know where the rings are in relation to, you know, on the stroke when the piston comes back, how far it comes back, because you don't want it going opening there where the two pins are. It's bad enough where it jumps across the exhaust. The exhaust is shaped so heading sort of backwards, by the look of it. I suppose if you think of it, when the explosion happens, the gases are going back. So I've had a discussion with one of my friends who he seems convinced that it's to do with getting the exhaust gases out as quickly as possible. I must say the fit and finish of the ports was superb, and it's not an expensive kit. It's as light as a feather compared to the original one. So as I said, I'll be putting that way round, I'll be putting the carburetor on, which according to what they're saying now, I'm just going to put the gasket back on. What they're saying excuse me, in the instructions is to then upjet your carburetor, and sod's law, I've got everything but a 110 and a 50 pilot jet, which I'm going to show you in a minute. It should be on the lid of here. So I've got the standard 45 pilot jet and a 105 main jet, and they're saying to go to at least a 110. So I'll stick that back in again. I'm trying to keep the kit together. I have ordered an exhaust for it, and a road free, Sip road free, and a vape electronic ignition. I'm toying with the idea of doing LED lights like I did on the Li. A bit of a project, but that came out really well, and I believe the new owner of the bike, he absolutely loves the fact you can see down the road and you haven't got horrible 6-volt dim but nice lighting. But you know, we don't live in the 60s and the 50s anymore, so as far as I'm concerned, what you can do to upgrade these scooters, the better. The problem we've got with the GS is it's the last of the line of the what they call the wide frame engine, or what I call the bomber starter motor engines. These gaps for these stud spacings are very, very small. They are worse than the small frame, believe it or not. I have got a small frame gasket, and they're further apart than even this one is, so you're limited to what size you can bore this at. What I've seen on the internet, I've not seen anybody, I don't know anybody yet, but you have this welded up, you have the stud holes welded up, and this basically opened out, so it will take a PX tuning up to a 200, depending on how bad you want to go up to. But then you're always going to be limited with the GS. In short, where the gearbox is and this drive shaft here, the actual clutch out of driven cog, concentric one, not in line like these, that actual cog just about clears the inside of this lay shaft, and I'm talking 1.5 millimeters at the most gap. So to change gearboxes, I gave up, to be honest with you, even toying with the idea. And the same with the clutches, because I've built the clutch up, but I can't really, I can show you on a different PX type clutch if I go and grab one. Kicking the camera over, so let me get a poser for argument's sake, and I'll explain to you why I don't like, even to sort of upgrade, you'd have to upgrade the cush drive cog. Let me have a look here. This gearing on here is different from the GS, so if you was to just dump that in and leave, let me undo the engine so you can see what I'm on about if you're not too sure. So we'll put the engine down there, So I'm on about this gear here, because to change the gearing of the gearbox, this would be the easiest, to change this, which rotates on here. So your crankshaft spins, turns on this then spins, sorry, put my teeth in, this spins, as you can probably see from the axle. It's in gear at the moment anyway, but that's where you, I mean, it even goes over, if you can see there, it's on here. I can't go, see, I'm on there and it lifts up and clicks again, so that's even too big for that. That's not a bad thing that it overhangs, but if you put a bigger one or even a smaller one to change the gears, I don't know which way you'd really go. I've gave up on it. I've like I said in original, or you know, some of the pre-videos of this, I only build normally GS's. I restore them, I don't tune them, so I look to get the same performance as what you'd get out of them originally. And you know, contrary to public belief or some things that are said on videos, these do move. You know, they don't get the reputation that they've got without, you know, some reason for that reputation. Compared to the 50 scooters like the LDs and what have you, they're a lot quieter. They're more akin to a PX and what have you with the running of them. And yeah, that's about as far as I want to go today. It's just an update. I'm waiting for parts, so I'll put the gearbox back in, and the axle, I showed you taking that out, it's just a reversal of that. And because I've already checked the shimming, I don't need to, I mean, you do need a bit of end float, around 0.05 of a millimetre to about 0.85, I would say, well under a millimetre of travel anyway. You can buy bigger spacers or shims, and you can put PX ones in there, they're all the same. You've got the cruciform, which is the original like rally type, or rally's copied on from them. The flat PX one, which I've got somewhere, which is just a flat cross, hence why they call them a cruciform. They won't work in this because the arms that come out have to come around this mechanism here. And like I said previously, when you're building this up, never hit that, because you'll bend it and you'll never get it into gear properly. It'll cause extensive wear and tear on the sliding dog that moves the gear selector in and out. Basically it runs in a oh, it's dipped in oil and what have you, but if that keeps getting pinched or whatever, you might find it won't change gear, or it'll jump, and you'll cause excessive wear and loads of metal particles in your oil. I only use the standard like PX oil, which I buy it 5 litres at a time, so I've always got tons of that. And you can probably see I've not polished these yet, but I will be doing that. You know, I've opened them right out to match the cylinder. Like I say, that's about the only tuning I think you can do without going overboard with it. You know, you can, I'd say you can put a longer crankshaft in. There's only so much you're going to get out of one of these engines, because I think, you know, the mitigating factor in it is the gearbox is always going to limit what you do. It's kind of hard to show you what I'm on about, but if they don't mesh properly, you're going to have premature wear. You can buy straight cut outer parts of the cush drive here. You can get a straight cut, and I to be honest with you, there's literally where that goes around and goes under the lay shaft. Like I say, there's what, 1.5 mil gap. It's probably, you know, what I can show you on there, the top of that gap between that, and if you go too tight, it's gonna cut the lay shaft. It won't even spin, will it? So, and because these are all new bearings and what have you that I put in when I built the engine originally, everything's, you know, hunky-dory. I rebuilt, as I told you before, I rebuilt the cush drive with PX200 springs, so it's got 2 springs instead of 1 hardened spring, and caps. And I've got the caps so I can show you on the GS, and I'm not sure about other large frame ones, but no, I haven't got the caps here, they're in a different box. I will show you what I'm on about. But you get metallic caps that go on the end of the springs. Again, they dropped them on later scooters, so obviously they designed it and changed their minds like they did. Everything got cheaper and not less reliable, but you know, or you look at an LD engine, Lambretta LD engine, and the amount of, you know, work that goes into building one of them. I wonder how they have actually made any money. It's just probably economies of scale again, isn't it? You know, they've got thousands of people building them. So as I say, I'm going to cut off at the moment. Like I say, I'm at full stop at the moment because I am waiting for these oil seals. Once I get the oil seals, just before I cut off as well, a word of warning, these 2 studs here are shorter studs. Then I'll just put them away. The outer casing studs are longer, so bear that in mind when you're building an engine. Check the sizes of them and put the 2 together on their own. Oh, they're out, aren't they, on in here, sorry. So if I take a stud out, I'll show you what I mean. So these studs here are longer, these are shorter. So if you use a long one, what will happen is it will go through the cap. These are all odd caps, so I wonder if somebody's done that before in the past. They've, you know, I don't know why they're all odd. Normally they're just flat on the top, like this one. They're normally flat, and what they do is they bow out, and because they seal from the oil coming through, you can see there's a gap. You will get oil coming into the compression part of the stroke of the crankshaft, so you need these caps to be in good condition and tight enough to seal. The same as these ones here will let oil out if they're not sealed. So when I come to put these on properly, I've re-threaded, you know, they don't normally go in that nice and easy, but I've re-cut all the threads on them, M8.1 1.25 thread, and yeah, that's where I am at the moment with it. So I'll stick with it and we'll see how fast it goes anyway. It's not a done dead project. It could be, you know, that I talk to somebody and find out that you can quite easily do a lot more with the piston and put a reed valve on it. I did intend to put 26mm carb on it and different induction on it, so that might happen because you don't need to do any porting to do that anyway, so not on your inlet anyway. Right, I'm going to knock it on the head. Thanks for watching again. Take care everyone. Bye for now.